this year, and yeah, it's gaining traction. Thanks to your help, and slowly getting there. So I just want to quickly outline before the draw at 12 o'clock. So this is not going to be the draw where I pick the ball out of the box kind of thing and choose the winner. That'll be done at 12, and that's through Raffletix, which is like the leading raffle platform in Australia. So that'll only take a couple of seconds at 12 o'clock to announce the winner. So this won't be it, just a quick outline of what we're doing. More crazy stuff. So problem, obviously massive disparity gap despite all the money, despite all these government stuff they're doing, and can't keep up with all the initiatives they're doing, but basically they end up not really affecting the disparity gaps in general and in the long term too. We see a lot of problems arising back up a decade later. So you've still got this massive gap, and the big one we want to focus on with the lottery, because it is a potential big fundraising arm, is that 75% of First Nations people are in desperate need of financial services. We missed out on the housing boom, couldn't get a loan from the big banks, missed out on that. So there's a lot of Indigenous people still live in poverty, and in my personal view, with the disparity gaps, the cause and effects, the economic gap, has to be one of the biggest that needs to be focused on to help close the gaps, because in low socioeconomic households, there's high violence, high malnutrition, all that kind of stuff. The stats, the research speak louder. So it's a major problem. And that's what we're trying to do with the lottery. Lotteries in Australia, Powerball and that kind of stuff, which is through the Lottery Corporation, which demerged from Tabcorp quite recently, but they pretty much have a monopoly on the market, worth billions of dollars, and, do quite well for that corporation and the state governments. But yeah, we want to kick off the lottery because there's a few charities actually making money, only a couple in their respective fields, like Mater in health, medical field. You got Endeavour in disability field, and they both make over 100 mil each in the lottery. So, why isn't there an Indigenous lottery? And that's the question I came to end of last year when I was looking at other resources for funding. Like I did the big corporate stuff, sat on corporate boards in their RAPs and Indigenous advisory boards for the biggest companies in the world. And, I thought it was pretty much, a bit of, bullshit, a whole lot of, promoting stuff and not actually doing stuff. And the gap between what corporates could do and what they actually do and promote what they actually do is, there's a big gap there. And so I didn't feel like we'd get, much cash support from them, and I know a lot of Indigenous organisations don't, and government too. So government's actually where the money is. There's a lot of money in Indigenous affairs in Australia, but that's kind of locked up in politics and in people that brown nose government politicians and all that kind of stuff. And after having a grant before a government grant, like I knew I didn't want to work with government per se. Moving forward, it's just more of a headache, like corporates, more work than what it's worth. So yeah, came across the lotteries, came across Mater, Endeavour, thought, holy shit, this is cool. And said, why isn't there an Indigenous one? So that's why I created the First Nations Lottery, Lotto, whatever you want to call it. It's just, a charity raffle. We're trying to raise money and do some really cool stuff in Indigenous communities, just like Mater does and Endeavour does in their respective fields. Exactly the same. It's not rocket science, in my view. It's a pretty simple model where we put up prizes and try and raise money on the back of that. So we've done a couple so far, and slowly getting there. Like this one, we're looking at breaking even. First lotto, we actually lost money. It's not a very good fundraiser, but these things take time. When you start a business, most people that start a business know, usually you don't start making money straight off selling the product. Sometimes you lose money to begin with. In this market, the lottery market, it's very saturated. You've got Mater Endeavour, been around for 60 years, running lotteries for 6 years, been around for a lot longer. And the Lottery Corporation, which was demerged from Tabcorp. So they've got a hold of the market. And we're trying to break into that saturated market, which is challenging, and which is why, unfortunately, we lost money on the first one. But yeah, looking to break even, and hopefully bigger and better things moving forward. And that's the end goal, to be like the Mater Foundation, the Mater Lotteries, and the Endeavour Lotteries. So raising money for Indigenous projects, which could vary. So who are we? Barry Young, been around for a long time, led the Indigenous entrepreneurship movement, probably could still be leading it, but again, I didn't want to brown nose up to the politicians and that kind of stuff. So other organizations have got a shit ton of funding where we've missed out, unfortunately. If I was a smarter entrepreneur, I would have turned into a govpreneur. Work with the government as an entrepreneur, making heaps of money. But yeah, it just wasn't for me. But we've done a lot. We're in the world's first Indigenous Business Accelerator into 2016. First Indigenous Hackathon in Brisbane, where we had 5 Indigenous charities from across Australia come to Brisbane and work on tech-based solutions to try and give them a technology solution that can increase their impact in their social enterprises. Done Kodo Dojo, school-based coding entrepreneurship program at Capalaba State College, and did the first Indigenous themed startup weekend, which is through Techstars, and it's hundreds, thousands of them ran annually. So yeah, get back onto the draw. Just a quick FYI about us, but if you want to win $5,000 cash, if you want to support the First Nations Lottery, which is again just starting out, we're building up a database of supporters, and as we continue to grow, hopefully, one day, sooner than later, we'll be like the Mater Lotteries and the Endeavour Lotteries as we progress. But from little things, big things grow, and these things take time to find the right people who want to support it, see the value in it, in raising money to fund Indigenous projects, community projects, and help close the disparity gap through access to capital. And obviously, it's good for people who support us too, right? Because they have the opportunity to win cash, just like at the Powerball or the Lotto or the Lot or whatever it's called. There's there's reciprocal value into that too. It's not just a donation where you just give money and don't get anything out of it in return per se. So yeah, raffle 12 o'clock. Go check out the Barry Young First Nations Lotto page at 12, and should have the winner announced straight away. And yeah, that's done in the back end through Raffletix algorithm, which chooses, randomly chooses the winner at 12 o'clock. It's got nothing to do with me or, picking favorites. So it's completely random, and through Raffletix, which again, is one of the leaders in that space, runs it for Toyota, Raffles and Scouts Victoria, and everybody else. I think the Reds, Queensland Reds rugby team, and yeah, basically everybody. So legit. And yeah, we'll announce the winner soon. Thanks again for supporting First Nations Lottery, just getting up and going. But again, appreciate the support for the people that are buying tickets and supporting us earlier on as we getting up and going. I think everybody wants to support a winner once it's winning, but it's good to know that people are actually putting their money where their mouth is, where some large corporations don't, and supporting a grassroots Aboriginal Indigenous lottery. Thanks. Oh, sorry. Yes, stick around. I'm just going to have just a slide on replay until 12 o'clock, and then, yeah, the winner will be announced.